Hi everyone. Look, I'm getting close to the end of the course and I realized some points that I really wanted to cover to make sure that the course that I just recorded is actually accessible to you. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is that the screen is rather complicated and I don't want to shock you or scare you the first time you see it. So I want to point out the parts of the screen. Up at the top here that I've got expanded and with a green outline is a standard menu. Now, it has to do with drawing things, but you'll find everything there as in the File menu, which I have pulled down. Click on any of the menu options and down comes a list of things that you can do, including New to create a new project and Save to save an existing project. Now, just below the File menu is a list of the Moho projects that you currently have open. The little pencil next to it means that you haven't saved that project yet. You can click the X next to the project when you scroll over it to close any of these tabs, or you can select File New to open a new project. Below that is the Tools options, and I wouldn't get too hung up on that. You don't use them a lot, so just ignore them. But the tools are big. These are the things that you use to illustrate, rig, and animate your character. So all the tools that you're going to use, you pick over on the upper left. And then in the middle area is the work area. This is where you draw and rig and you animate. This is also where you can watch what your animation looks like currently. To the right are styles, colors, and strokes that you can apply to any figure. And then you get into the play bar. Here, with the play options, you can play your animation, you can back up, you can go to the beginning, you can set how many frames are in the animation, and so on. Below that is a big time area. This is the animation timeline. And within it, you actually animate. All of your illustration and rigging goes on at keyframe 0, way over on the left. But once you hit keyframe 1 through the rest, you're animating. And here you can see examples of little dots that are keyframes in the animation, or places where your animated character change. Over on the far right on the bottom is the last section, and this is layers. You can stack things in layers so things are on top of other things. Here, my boy is on top of a forest background because he's stacked higher, and he's also selected because he's gold. This is one of the areas that's going to mess you up, is not selecting the right layers. So keep track of your layers in the lower right. And that is the entire screen. So it's not quite as scary as you thought. The other thing that I do during this lesson a lot, and I want to bring you up to date on, is that you can use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out of the work area. So if you need to get a closer look at something, just scroll the mouse wheel forward and you'll zoom in, or scroll out if you need to see more area. The other is right click, not left click, but right click the mouse in the work area and you can drag it around so you can pan from left to right. These are two important functions that you need to know right up front, so memorize them. Scroll wheel to zoom in and out, right click to pan around the screen, and that's going to get you pretty much anywhere that you want to be. Now, the other thing that I really want to point out is that where the playhead is really important. That's the gold line here, and that's where the animation is currently playing. It's represented by the playhead here, this kind of stacked lines triangle at the top. If you ever need to move the playhead, and you can move it to see what the animation looks like, and you can also move it to keyframe 0, which is really important for illustration and rigging. Just grab that triangle and drag it left and right. This seems like it's going to come from out of the blue, but I wanted to point out, hit the escape key if you want to select nothing. I guarantee another thing that's going to bite you is you're trying to move things around and you've got selected points, you don't know where you are, and everything keeps moving the wrong way. Just hit escape. That will kind of reset you to a non-selected state, and then you can start selecting the bones, points, or keyframes that you want to move. So escape kind of resets you to 0. And finally, I want to point out that I've got a change of plans for this course. Rather than going through just how to do things, I thought we would actually do something. So in this course, we're going to illustrate, rig, and animate a basic human male figure. And I've also kind of changed the way that I do things a little bit. What I do now is I set a solid bone structure. So I actually do rigging up front, or set the skeletal structure of my character before I start illustrating the character. So that's a slight switch in how I'm going to present. Up next is going to be the section rigging your character body bone structure. I'll see you there.